My next guests are Garden Goddesses, a group that was formed about a year ago to share some gardening ideas and the passion for gardening and eating well. And so with me tonight, on my left is a co-founder, Susan Gouveia. On her left is Laura Beavers, and on her left is Kimberley Carville. And they're here to do some how-to tips and demos, recycle and reuse our garden. And I'm just standing around. So Susan, take it away.
Okay, thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. You've been on before, and so it was always good stuff, and you're really expanded.
Yeah, we have. Our group's expanded to a couple hundred women and
my gosh.
1,600 women on the Facebook site. So we have quite a discussion group.
Yeah, it's great. Well, tell us what you've, and we've got some photos that will also provide a little bit more information and show people what else you do besides your gatherings and the type of food and the hard work. So tell us what you're going to do tonight.
Well, we're here to celebrate Earth Day. And so we decided to talk about reuse and recycling in the garden and offer some tips that some of the garden goddesses are doing in their gardens. And one of the tips I have is something called propagation, and it's basically growing plants from sticks. So here's an example of a fig cutting. You cut it here and you cut it at an angle here. You dip it in root hormone, and then you stick it in a mixture of vermiculite, perlite, and what's the other one? Peat moss. And it grows.
You're asking me.
It grows little roots, and this should be flowering pretty soon, like the rest of them. But
it just looks like something you'd find in the forest.
I know.
It doesn't.
So it's a way we create free plants in our group. So we exchange, like somebody gave me this grape cutting, and that's already.
Oh, what a great idea!
It was just a stick,
to share.
And now it's.
And what is
producing.
That little plant?
It's a grapevine.
A grapevine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a fun and easy way. And then the next thing I have, a lot of us have chickens. So we like to bring hostess gifts. And, you know, why would you bring just like a thing of this loaded with eggs when you could arrive with something like, wet paint.
Wet paint, just freshly painted.
So I did this. I just painted an egg carton. And then you can either put regular eggs in or you can start little seedlings. So that's another way of reusing eggshells. And so you can just plant these directly into the ground. You kind of crack the bottom. And the calcium in the eggshell is really good for the soil. And,
what a great, taking it to the next step of the whole gardening, the seeds and just putting it all in. Okay, gosh, I would have never thought of that.
And then the next thing is, these are little seedling makers, or seedling, pots, and they're made out of newspaper. Okay. So you take this little...
The Union?
Of course.
Think local. You have to think local newspaper.
These are local paper. So you take this little, it's called a pot maker, and you just kind of roll it up like this.
I think we're getting a good shot of that, yeah.
So I think I did too long of a piece of paper, but then you just press it in.
Now, is this something that can go in the ground then too? Just
you
as
bet.
This? Oh,
yeah, this just disintegrates and adds to the soil as well. Okay. So you just fill it with soil, and plant your little seedling, and then that just goes right into the ground after a few months. So all of these I started indoors. And the next thing is, recycling just paper cups.
Okay.
Or and then these are garden markers. So if you're at a party and you don't want to
toss it away.
Exactly. So you just use the knives, and these are way more sturdy than your standard garden markers that you buy in the nursery. Okay. So I made some here, and I think that sums up my demonstration.
Okay, we're going to move to, what do you have, Laura?
I actually have a milk carton, and I just wanted to point out, too, there's a difference between recycling and reusing. Reusing, you actually don't cost us any more gas or traveling time or anything to reuse a product, whereas recycling you do. So if you have you know, your milk cartons. A lot of us up here are really concerned about frost. And when the temperature gets really low, our plants are the first thing we think of, especially when they're small. So if you have, just put in your starts and you just heard it was going to snow, you can make these little things out of... Again, yes. You can hurry out to the garden and bring your milk cartons that you've cut the bottom out of, cut out a little hole. You can place this on top of your little start, and then you bring actually your pole. I'm using this stake.
And that's a metal.
This one's metal, but you can use plastic. You can use a bamboo stick, and you actually stick it in the hole into the dirt, and then this doesn't blow away when it gets windy.
I see.
So
it anchors it.
It anchors it. Another item you can use. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
I just wanted to ask about Laura's mic because it's not showing us. Are we hearing her okay? Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
We just want to make sure.
That's fine. So, and another reusable item that I just discovered is I just redid my bathroom. So I have this old shower curtain, which I would normally just stick in the closet and try to figure something out to do. So lately, though, I've been using it in the garden and just placing it over my new plants. They're only so tall, so it doesn't create a big weight. And then I have placed rocks around so it doesn't blow away.
And again, to protect it from the elements.
Yeah.
And I was wondering when I saw some of the pictures, maybe we can throw a couple up while we're talking on this issue. I was amazed at how thriving everything was already. You've had your dinners, a few dinners, and there's one hard at work with trenching for the bedding. The food, it was all lush, so now I know the secret. You have to protect
People
it.
are wonderful cooks that come to our parties, by the way.
Yes.
Very, very good.
So now I know
it's
it's the reason why you've got all this great food already. They're starting it indoors.
Yep, and a lot of people do that as well. And you can
start.
actually use your heater vents. Susan used her heater vents this last time to do her seedlings to keep them warm, because a lot of times it's the cold that just causes you so much problems in not getting them to grow.
Right.
Some ladies have put them on top of a refrigerator. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's stuff around the house that you can actually use. You don't have to go out and buy.
You're right.
Yeah.
Did I cut you from your
No,
piece of information
that was what I had.
that you wanted to contribute? Okay. Kimberly, on to you. Let's see what we got down here.
I have one more thing that you can actually reuse is these little yogurt containers. And we all have small children, and we love our children to go in the gardens with us.
Right.
So what you can do is you can actually just put this right over your head, and as you're out in the garden with strawberries or beans, you can pick them and then put them in your mouth, here, wherever. And so your children can really go out and do that, and then you can send them out in the garden by themselves, and they can harvest and then have something to bring back.
What I like about that is that you could use both your hands to pick. If you hold a basket or something, it limits you.
And the children love this. They each have one. I have 2 children, so they each love this. And then the last thing is kombucha tea. So this is actually a tea that ferments, and it uses a symbiotic relationship between mold and fungus, and it's a mushroom that makes that happen. So you simply need to take some sugar to feed the mushroom and some black tea. So I've already put some sugar in here, and then you just put the tea in. I've brewed 5 bags of black tea. I use all organic ingredients. You can use whatever you would like. And then the mushroom lives in the jar.
Is it living?
It is.
I feel like a Johnny Carson moment here. It's going to jump out or something.
You can see that there's 2 mushrooms in here.
What kind of mushrooms are those?
These are, it grows simply and feeds off of the sugar, and this is a baby, so this has split off of the mother. So then what you can do is you can share this little baby by putting him right in here into the new jar, and then you would fill this all the way up, and you can see that I have a little thermometer right here on the top. I place it on top of a heating pad, and then I put a little a grocery bag on top of it, simply cover it, and then after a week you have a fermented beverage that is very, very good for you health-wise, and you simply need to maintain and clean everything and then do your research and see what works for you so that you can, instead of going to the grocery store and using a bottle every time and $5 to buy a small little bottle, you can make your own. And I brew 3 gallons a week, and I can't get enough of it.
So you start a new batch from the old batch to keep it, I guess, propagating that way?
And then as soon as the mushroom starts to turn a brown color, then you know that it's brewed too many times. You want it to be white and healthy. As you can see, both of these are white, and this one just split off.
Now, where do you get the mushroom to start with?
I actually fermented my own. I just simply took a little jar of tea with sugar in it, and I set it out.
So the mushroom is not a plant that you go to the store. It's
a fungus.
It's a fungus that you have created.
I created. You can buy them at the store. You can get them from your friends. With love, sharing is the best way to get them. And it's a remarkable tea. I feel that I have much more energy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The 3 o'clock slump is gone.
There's a new kick.
Yeah.
Forget Starbucks. It's I guess like a sourdough in that same concept where you take a starter or a portion of it. Even with yogurt, the same way with the live cultures.
Yes.
That starts. Is that the same kind of
Yes,
process?
it feeds off of the sugar and the caffeine. It eats them away. So when you drink the beverage, the caffeine and the sugar have been eaten by the fungus, and so you're not getting that.
Okay. And what can you do with the mushroom when you said it got dark?
So when the mushroom gets old, you can simply put it into your compost.
Okay.
And then you can use that to feed your earth and take care of the earth that way.
Okay. That's reusing and giving back to the earth, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Soil is the most important thing that you can make.
Right. And good soil. And now, talking about reusing and recycling, then what about on our program last week, the Sierra Seed Co-op that started to share local seeds and keep them in our local community so that it has the microclimate, it's adapted to our weather. Have you done that with some of your own seedlings and crops? And
We're starting to create a seed bank.
Okay.
So there's so many women in our group with great heirloom seeds, and we're starting to save them and exchange them. And
the process, I guess, of saving them is kind of an art form too.
It is.
Cleaning or whatever. As I mentioned before the show, I'm better just going to the farmer's market and picking this stuff. I wouldn't know where to start.
But once you do get started, it's very addicting.
There you go.
And all you have to do is come to one party and
You're in.
you're like, oh, I want to try that. That's all it is.
Maximize space and take full advantage of the space that you have, even indoors. So.
And another step further that we've thought of is actually sharing our abilities. So if one person grows a heap of kale, then someone else might have more sun, so then they may grow a bunch of tomatoes, so then we actually have figured out a way to share our produce. So we have a prosperity table, so we bring the produce that we have and we have it there just to take and share.
Right. I love that, the sharing, the taking care of one another, and we've got lots of resources to help out. So we got a little bit more time. We got 1 more minute. Okay, last couple little tidbits. Susan? Look at this.
some quick gardening tips. Can you think of
All
springtime
going into
gardening
the
tips?
ground. Look at this newspaper. The Union, if you don't like an article, use it as a seedling. Go right into the ground. Tea, mushroom growing for good bacteria, the kombucha. Kombucha.
I think if we had one tip, it would be to get your family involved, get your children involved, because this is a dying art form, and a lot of the people of today are globalization and use, and this is a way to really get back to grassroots so that we can live our land and have it be productive and have people value food,
and for the next
real
generation.
Food. It's not something that's processed.
Thank you, Garden Goddesses, Kimberley Carville and Laura Beavers and Susan Gouveia. Good stuff. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time.
Thank
Today, walk me down to the water, wash me down, okay, and I'm gone. Yeah, and I'm gone. Yes, I'm gone.